So this first question is from Sarah. I'm using ME Events plugin as a calendar to show in my membership what days I'm going live with a teaching. ME Events allows you to incorporate WooCommerce, so I could sell one workshop to people as an opportunity for them to test out my workshops. Do you have any recommendation for how I could do this with MemberMouse instead? I'm trying to strategize the best way to do this so I can utilize the upsell functions of MemberMouse. So when you say, do I have any recommendation for how I can do this with MemberMouse? By this, do you mean automatically set up an event in ME Events based on a purchase in MemberMouse? If that's the case, then the MemberMouse will certainly allow you to just, you can leverage our push notification system. There's two parts, there's two halves to this. The first half is that you need to, based on a trigger happening in MemberMouse, in this case, a purchase happening, you need to be able to detect that and then be able to do something as a result of that. The second half is what are you going to want to do as a result of that, and how can you do it? So what you want to do is you want to set up something in ME Events. How do you do that? That's a question for ME Events. Do they have an API? What tools do they offer to developers in order to incorporate this? So in any event, I think you're getting the sense that whatever the answer is here, MemberMouse will support you in it in terms of the tools that are available to you through either push notifications or our PHP interface. But in order to completely make this possible, you would have to get a developer involved to input for you. And we now have a partnership with a company called Codable.io. And Cindy, if you can provide the link in the chat, and for Sarah, if you're interested, you could reach out to these people. They take on projects. Of course, you could also look at our implementation partners list and to find somebody who could do this for you. But it should be a pretty simple job, assuming that ME Events has the support, the capability you need in their developer tools. Although it seems like they do, given that WooCommerce has an integration with them. So the short answer, it is possible. The medium size answer is you're gonna have to, it's not button click to get it done, but if it's important to your business, there's definitely a way that you can get it done, and it's not as daunting as it seems. Okay, so this next question is from Richard. With regards to the members' addresses, there is only United States in the list. Are other countries available? Yes. So let me show you how to do this. This is this is your preference, how you want this to be done. So you guys go to checkout settings, click on countries, and currently I have all of them selected, but your setting is that you only have United States selected. So you basically just come in here and you can hold down the command key or the control key and select individual countries that you want, or you can click on the first one, go to the last one, click shift and select all of them, and then click save settings. Once you've done that, you can specify which country you want to be selected by default in the country dropdown. And once you've done that, on your checkout page, whatever countries you specified there will be available. All right, next question is from Julie. Again, for people just joining, apologies for the background noise. The floors are getting done here. Hopefully it's not too loud for you. This next question is from Julie. I have the checkout page set as the default, but I have designed a different page now and I want to remove the old page as the default checkout. But when I try to do that, the core page type option is disabled. Why? Okay, so let me show you this. Share screen again. So basically the question is we want to switch from one default core page to another. So what your experience is, you go to the checkout page. And down here, this is disabled. You can click this edit pencil, and then just you should see your other page in the drop down here. So you just select the other page you want to be the default checkout page, and then click change core page, and then you should be done. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to change my page, but that's all you should have to do. All right. Next question here is from Walter. I read that you recommend to minimize caching on my site. This seems very odd to me, as the whole point of caching is to speed up my site. My site has been extremely slow in the past. What do you suggest then to solve the problem, but still keep the site fast? I have to imagine that most websites use some sort of caching. Yes, a lot of sites use caching, but you have to keep in mind what cache. Well, let's actually just talk about what caching actually does in the first place. So you load a page, right? And initially on that page load, it's going to come from the server. So there's round trip from the server. The client browser requests it, the server receives the request, it sends it back to the client. And so the caching aspect is what we're trying to minimize there. Now, this works all well and good on pages that are static, meaning there's no dynamic content on it, right? So any of your marketing pages that simply is going to be the same exact page for every single person that views it, totally you should be caching those pages. But as soon as you start working on an e-commerce site, which your site becomes when you're using MemberMouse or WooCommerce or any other plugin that makes your site dynamic, as soon as your site becomes dynamic, caching is the enemy, right? Because imagine, your first customer who views the page that's dynamic and all it's doing is showing a variable on there to say, hi, first name, right? So say it's Eric. Hi, Eric. Hi, welcome to your member dashboard. Well, if you cache that page, now when Sarah logs in, she's going to see, hi, Eric, welcome to your member dashboard, right? So you need to minimize. Minimizing is one word to use it, but you need to be intelligent about caching. You cannot just whitewash your entire site to cache it. You need to only cache pages that aren't dynamic. Because if you cache a page that's dynamic, including any of the MemberMouse core pages, usually those pages are dynamic. They have dynamic elements on them, confirmation pages, checkout pages, my account pages. If you cache any of those pages, the customer is not going to have a dynamic experience anymore, and that defeats the entire purpose of the site. Okay, so this is the thing to understand about running an e-commerce site. If your site is brochureware, meaning it's completely the same, every page is completely the same for everybody, cache it, totally fine. As soon as you have an e-commerce site, you can't cache it. The pages that are dynamic cannot be cached, otherwise every customer will have the same experience, and that's not the intended thing that you're trying to do. What do I suggest in terms of solving the problem and keeping your site fast? It's the same answer as like if you tell me, I've got a Honda Civic and I'm going 0 to 60 in 2 minutes. How do I get my car faster? You buy a Ferrari. That's the answer. I know it's a simple answer, but essentially in this case, why is my site slow? Are you using HostGator? Are you using GoDaddy? Are you using shared hosting? Get a dedicated host. That's the answer to the question. You have to increase your hardware. You have to get a better server setup, which is going to cost more money. So you want to obviously keep this in check. You don't need to do this right in the beginning. You don't need to get a Ferrari if you don't need to drive that fast. But the reason your site is slow is because of your hardware. It's not because of the software you're running. It's because so anytime you're buying, things from a hosting provider and you're on their cheapest plan, basically what they're doing is they call it shared hosting. They have one server that has a specific amount. It's like, it's one computer, which has a specific amount of processing power. And they put X number of client sites on there, say 10 or whatever, depends on the hosting company. So basically what happens is that one computer's system resources is spread across X number of clients. So therefore, your site may be slow, somebody else may be using all the resources. It's basically, it's fine to do this in the beginning, but as soon as you get to the point where you need to ensure that your site is reliable, your customer experience is consistent, you have to go dedicated hosting. There's just no way around it. And now you're getting up to usually about $100 a month for hosting fees. But you have to expect this as a cost of doing business online. Okay, so that's the high level. So this next question is from Dennis. Do you provide any discount for nonprofit organizations? I'm going to refer that question to our sales team. Cindy, if you want to let Dennis know, we can get in touch with you and ask you that question and talk about that. Your next question is, do you recommend any membership profile builder plugin enabling members to create individual profiles to be shown or marketed on my site? Do I recommend any membership profile builder plugin which enables members to create individual profiles to be shown? Okay. I don't know of any particular plugins that do this. All I can say is MemberMouse integrates with the WordPress user system. So that means anytime somebody signs up through our checkout forms and gets added to one of your membership levels or bundles or whatever, behind the scenes, a WordPress user is created, which means that all the login functionality is essentially being handled by WordPress, and there is a WordPress user in the database, which means that you're going to be able to make that selection with regards to a member profile plugin at your own discretion. You won't really need to consider MemberMouse because it's going to be based on usually the WordPress user system. So personally, I have any recommendations for those plugins? I haven't used any personally. I know that a lot of customers do. So I would just do a Google search and see what member profile plugins are available. But MemberMouse will support you in this, in the sense that we integrate with the WordPress user system. So therefore, you'll just need to find the profile plugin that you like and then use it as it's intended to be used. And you shouldn't have any issues there. You won't have to integrate them together, in other words. This next question from Richard. Would the answer to the question about caching also be relevant to sites using a CDN? So CDN, or content delivery network, is, again, it's caching happens, it happens at a different place than content delivery. So it really all depends on how the system is set up and how everything's used. So when you say, would the answer to the question about caching also be relevant to a site using CDN? It's definitely relevant. It's always relevant. It's always relevant. You never want to cache dynamic pages, period, regardless of whether you're using a CDN or not. A CDN is not going to deliver, I may be wrong about this, but my understanding is a CDN is really only delivering static content like videos, pictures, files. It doesn't execute files. It's not gonna get involved with any PHP scripts or anything like that. It's not a server. It will simply allow you to store your assets, image assets, video assets, other large assets, audio files, and have a consistent way for those when people want to download those or receive or retrieve them. It's going to spread that content across multiple servers within its system so that delivery is fast. But again, the CDN is never going to be the whole picture. you can think about it this way. It's just another piece in the puzzle, right? So you have the web page that's ultimately being displayed from the user. Some of the stuff on the web page is going to come from the client's browser cache if they've looked at the page before. Some of the contents come from the server that hosts the site. And some of it's going to come from the CDN. The result of what the customer experiences as the speed at which that site loads is going to be a result of the weakest link, right? If your CDN is fast and some of the stuff is cached in the browser, that's great. But if your server is slow, the customer's experience is still going to be that it's slow. So all of these things have to be top notch. All of these things have to be checked off. Otherwise, if one of them is slow, that's going to ultimately impact the user's experience in terms of page loads. This next question is from Kat. What if you have products and video and audio content and you provide twice a week live sessions via Zoom? Can I provide all this through MemberMouse? Is there a limit to numbers of items available for individual sale? Currently, I have an e-commerce site for members only for products on Ecwid. I'm not familiar with that platform. I have no plot for video and audio content yet. I would like to offer it all together. So the answer is yes, you can definitely do this on MemberMouse, and you can do it very easily and elegantly in terms of your customer's experience. That's obviously the short answer. You know, getting that all set up is going to take some time, as you've probably experienced with the current platform you're using. You have to you start with a blank slate, and then you just kind of have to organize things as you want in terms of your content. You don't have a video or audio platform yet. So, you know, for video, you just use YouTube and just make all the things private and then just embed those inside of WordPress so that it's actually being hosted by YouTube, but you're using, so you don't have to pay for it, but it's also private so people can't search for it and find it on YouTube. For audio content, you can host SoundCloud is one recommendation. Again, I think there are free plans on SoundCloud, and then it'll give you embed codes that you can then paste onto your pages in WordPress. So if you host video on YouTube and you host audio on SoundCloud, then you'll get embed codes from both of those we put on a WordPress page, and then MemberMouse will actually protect that page so only people who have paid for it can access it. With regards to your Zoom stuff, that's just going to come down to communicating this link and providing the Zoom link to people via their member dashboard or somewhere else within the members area. And of course, the page where you provide those links to people, you'll put it using MemberMouse so that it's only visible to people who have access to the Zoom calls. If you record Zoom sessions for members, yeah, you can then again upload them to YouTube, host them there, and then just put the embed codes in the site and just have a page for replays, Zoom session replays. I have a T. I'll actually show you this. You might be interested in this. I have a T site that I use for. I do Kung Fu Tea, and I have this site that I use MemberMouse on. And I also do live Zoom sessions sometimes. So what you're experiencing right now is this is MemberMouse. You know, this is a WordPress site, and I'm going to log in. And now I'm looking at the back end of this site. And in particular, I'm using another plugin to work on my courses, but essentially, anytime that I have a new, I call them T Hangouts. Anytime I have a new T Hangout, I just create a new post. I put the video embed content on the post, and then I just specify that it's a T Hangout, and then I update it. Some of these controls would look different for you, but ultimately, in terms of user experience, so again, this is MemberMouse. These are screens that MemberMouse provides. I'm in the Manage Members area right now, and I'm going to log in as this member so we can see what the site looks like, the experience. But you can see here I have a dashboard. I have the courses that I offer, and I can view the course, and the course has individual lessons. And again, the course and lessons aspect of this particular site, I'm working with one of our partners, MemberDev, and they provide a whole done-for-you service where they'll just build the site for you. So MemberMouse itself doesn't handle course creation. You know, there are LMS systems and stuff that you can integrate with MemberMouse to do that. But here's the library, like where I do these live Zoom Hangouts. Whenever I'm done with them, I just post them here. Somebody can click into it, see the video, and then play the content right from there. And but you know, with MemberMouse doesn't control any of the look and feel of the site. So what you see, you know, like this is my IT site, but you know, earlier we were looking at the demo site, and as you can see, it looks completely different. So really, the site's going to look any way that you want it to look. You know, there's really no restrictions that MemberMouse puts on you. So in this case, here's the dashboard for the demo site. This is what it looks like and what customers experience. They can view a course. And then there's these different modules, and then they come in and get the video. Yes, you would use a different, okay, got it. MemberDev, DEV as in Victor, yeah. They offer one thing, that's just one solution. There are other plugins like LearnDash and what's that other one? There's another one that I know people use a lot with MemberMouse that basically they focus on developing course products. Anyway, in our support center, none of those, no. There is a support article in our support center that if you type in LMS, you'll see a list of different course related plugins that you can use with MemberMouse. Okay, so that's all the questions so far. So I actually have a question for you guys. You know, if you're open to answering this, we're not Drive Apprentice either. No, I'll just look it up. Hold on. WP Courseware, LearnDash, Thrive Apprentice. Those are some course plugins. But anyway, Cindy put the link to the article in there. So I have a question for you guys. So I'm considering potentially doing more office hour sessions, like, you know, not necessarily just once a week. And what I want to hear from you is, in what way do you find these helpful, or in what way do you think that these support you? And is there a way that you think it could be more supportive? So that's the question I want to put out there to you. In the meantime, while you're reflecting on that, I'll answer this question from Daniel. Using MemberMouse along with LearnDash for an online course for elementary students. For families with multiple children, the most common request is for a way of tracking the activity progress of each individual student. Right, so that's really going to be a question for LearnDash, you know, because their whole thing is to offer the functionality in association with courses. And as soon as you offer the question that comes along with courses, you have the question of activity, progress, grades, etc. All of that is isolated to LearnDash's functionality. So I would imagine they provide something like that. But in ultimately that falls in their wheelhouse of what they're offering, and MemberMouse doesn't get into that type of stuff. Okay. Do we have any more questions? Nope. Okay, well, if there are no more questions, then, oh, all right, Kat. This is my first office hours. I coach in the super conscious, and one of my clients found you and is building with member dev, so turned me on to you, also Wisdom of the Earth connection. So here I am, and so far I'm thrilled with your responsiveness and video content. Just happened to do this on a Friday, so I did not have to wait. Okay, good to know. But so so yeah, so we'll see. Our support is obviously available 7 days a week. So if you ever need anything while you're setting up the site, you always have them available. But it's just a different format, right? It's a different type of energy that can happen when you show up to something live and you can ask a question. And so I know people find it useful. So just toying with the idea of it happened to work out well for you because you were ready on a Friday and it was already on a Friday. So, that's kind of what I'm wondering is if there was like another session or two during the week, if that would be more supportive to more people, or if it would just mean that I would be sitting here by myself with no questions. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Great. I'm glad to hear it. Thanks for your feedback. Okay, so we reached the end of this session. So unless there's any final questions that people have, then I'll just sign off. Yep, thanks for joining, Daniel. Thank you, Kat. All right, everybody, I hope you have a nice weekend. And we'll see you next time.